ASTM C138 is the standard test method for destined for ionic weight gel in air counting gravimetric of concrete. This procedure determines the ionic weight for fleshly mixed concrete and gives formulas for calculating the gel cement content and air content for the concrete.
To perform this test, we will need a balance or scale oscillate to within 0.1 pounds or 45 grams, or 0.3% of the expected test range, whichever is rated depending upon the slump we might need. A taping rod the diameter of which should be 5/8 of an inch. The length should be at least 4 inches greater than the depth of the measure, but not more than 24 inches in overall length, and at least one end of the rod. The taping end should be rounded to a hemispherical tip of the same.
We are also going to need a measure. The size of our measure is going to depend upon the maximum aggregate size in our concrete. However, in our case, should the measure be smaller than 0.2 cubic feet, furthermore the measure must be made of steel or other suitable metal and must be calibrated in accordance with ASTM C138.
We are also going to need a strip of plate. If our strip of plate is metal, the it must be at least a quarter inch thick. If it's glass or acrylic, it must be at least a half inch thick, and the length and width of a stronger plate must be at least 2 inches greater than the diameter of the measure with which it is
going to be used if routing will need a mallet. All mallets shall have a rubber or rawhide. If the measure we are using this pressure is 1/2 cubic foot was smaller, then our mallet should weigh 1.25 pounds plus or minus 1/2 pound. If the measure we are using is 0.5 cubic feet larger, then the mallet we use shall weigh 2.25 pounds plus or minus 1/2 pound, and of course will need a scope. A bimetallic thermometer is used to measure the temperature of fresh concrete.
To determine our consolidation method, if the slab of the concrete is greater than 3 inches the width means drawn the concrete, when rodent will fill the measure in 3 equal layers for measure 1 cubic foot, and smaller, each layer shall be brought in the 25 times for measure 1 cubic foot, each layer shall be graded 50 times, and for measure larger, the 1 cubic foot each layer shall be ruled once for every 3 square inches of surface area.
Now that we understand the basics of ASTM C138, let's go through a detailed perform review. In this review, we will be using the Type B, or method anti-rotting procedure.
We have to moisten the materials to be ready for the job.
First, we want to obtain our sampling in accordance with ASTM C172 standard practice for sampling freshly mixed concrete. Now determine the mass of the measure in either pounds or kilograms.
We can now add the first layer of concrete following the measure to a tier. Is a volume, be sure to move the scud around the outside perimeter of the measure for even distribution.
We can now route this layer 20 times. We want to uniformly distribute our strokes across the full cross-section of concrete. We want to route the layer throughout its entire depth without forcibly striking the bottom of the measure.
Now, using our mallet, we want to tap the upside of the measure 10 to 50 times. We can now, in the second layer of concrete, when routing this layer, we can to take care to penetrate the previous layer by approximately 1 inch.
And then, once again tap the inside of the bowl 10 to 15 times. We can now add a 3 layer of concrete. We want to roll this layer throughout its depth, penetrating the previous layer by approximately 1 inch and respect the taping procedure.
Note. Then after lapping the third layer, but before striking of the small quantity of representative concrete can be added or removed to compensate for a slight deficient or excess concrete. However, keeping in mind that 1/8 on each above the rim of the measure is considered the optimum.
When striking off, we want to press the plate on the top superface of the concrete covering, approximately 2/3 of the measure. Now, in a sideways motion, we want to wiggle the plate to finish only the area that we covered.
Now place of the plate back over the original 2/3 of the surface and then, with vertical pressure on the plate in a sawing motion, advance the plate off the measure. Now incline the plate and strike several sweeps with the edge of the plate to produce a smooth finish.
Now, thoroughly clean the outside of the measure and the rim and determine the mass of the measure. Now, fill it with concrete.
We now want to record the volume of the measure to the nearest point 00, 1 cubic feet, and report the unit weight or density to the nearest point, 1 pounds per cubic feet.
To take the temperature of the concrete, submerge the sensitive portion of the thermometer in fresh concrete a minimum of 3 inches. It's important to wait 2 minutes for the temperature to stabilize.